Sword Art Online is a Japanese light novel cum anime series based on players who get stuck inside a virtual reality MMORPG. Sounds like a dream if you ask me. The catch, however, is if the character's avatar dies, they die in real life. Such a successful anime based on an MMO is just asking for a game to follow. And so they have, thick and fast. There have been multiple attempts at capturing the series' magic in a game. Not every time has lived up to the series, but will Namco's latest attempt, the mobile phone game Sword Art Online Integral Factor, succeed where the rest of the games fail? My name's Liam, you're watching A Week of Geek, and this is my first impressions review of Sword Art Online Integral Factor. We're going to break down the review and separately look into integral factors. See what I did there? Those factors that we're going to look into are going to be the story and quest system, the gear, customization and progression, the interface and music, along with the graphics and the vibe. And finally, we'll look at what makes this different to other mobile releases. Please feel free to skip to each section or to the end where I wrap everything up in a summary of what we've spoken about. So, let's start with the story. For any fans of the anime series, you're going to feel right at home. What this game's managed to do is make you feel like you're part of the original series. You meet Kirito and other main characters, but instead of following their story arc, you follow your own as a different protagonist, alongside Kirito and the gang. The story starts by following the exact same beats of the show and really captures the vibe and feeling you first get when you watch the anime series. It's really well executed, something that's quite remarkable considering this is a mobile release. The game delivers your tutorial quests through story-driven content, meaning you never feel like you're stuck in a boring tutorial area. What I really like about this game is the dialogue wasn't delivered through poor voice dubs and bad graphics. Instead, you're taught what to do and introduced to different characters with stills and text. It really worked. I'm not usually one who reads text when accepting quests. By doing it this way, it's made it much easier to buy into the quest objectives. If you haven't yet seen the series, I wouldn't worry. The cutscenes explain everything in enough detail for anyone to follow along. The quests you receive are very generic. Kill this many of this, or go here and kill this. Sword Art Online Integral Factor won't be winning any awards for quest innovation. But, and this is a big but, with the story and narrative, the typical grinding quests work. You are a character stuck in an MMO after all. There are also dungeons and floor bosses to conquer, which is a nice switch up on content. Secondly then, gear, customization and progression. Sword Art Online is all about upgrading your gear yourself, using materials to upgrade your gear and weapons. You can equip better weapons with higher level requirements, and each upgrade increases your character's stats. One of the things I don't enjoy is the grind needed to get the materials in order to upgrade the gear. A nice touch that this game has is a partner system. You take an NPC with you everywhere you go. You need to stay focused on maintaining their gear and skills too. It can sometimes distract you from the grind, but also can become an annoyance. You can buy materials, but be better if you can mine the materials, and so far I can't seem to find anywhere to do that. It's just a case of going out and farming them by killing monsters, which I'm sure you can understand gets a bit repetitive. It also costs money to actually upgrade. Either way, you end up grinding, either for money or materials. The skills system is different in this game to other MMOs. You don't get given skills as rewards for leveling. You spend gems, which is a currency you get as rewards from quests, and for logging in, you can also buy more gems. You spend these gems to get skills, which are randomly given to you. There is no guarantee you will get the skills you want or need. Once you have the skills, you can then upgrade them like you do your gear to make them more powerful, which is a bit more of a grind. Again, I know I've said it, but it kind of works within the setting of this game. But if you don't like grinding, this is definitely something worth bearing in mind when you start. While maintaining and upgrading your gear, you'll level up like you'd expect from any other game. I haven't really noticed levels increasing because of the story and content that's been presented to me, and that for me is great. I can imagine it will slow down the later I get through the game, but what MMO progression doesn't slow down? Now let's talk about interface and combat. The interface and combat on any mobile game can make or break the title. And if there's one thing this game does well, it's the interface, controls and combat. Everything you do feels impactful. It's easy to control the camera and moving feels natural. There aren't too many buttons to press and you're given enough room to do everything you need to do. I personally don't think the screen is too cluttered and it is most certainly playable. The whole thing feels premium and polished, which is so refreshing from a mobile release. The combat relies on one main attack, the skills you've earned, and a switch button, which is a power attack or a limit break type attack that fills up before you can use it. By using it depletes that resource and you have to then wait to fill up again. Something else which is great about combat, you can switch between two weapon sets, and each enemy is vulnerable to different weapon types. Some weapons hit multiple targets, and some hit targets for more damage. You end up using both slots throughout. So technically, I'm thinking later on in the game, you're going to be able to have two roles. A shield bearing tank kind of role, or a jabbing spear damage dealing role. I know I've said it, but if one thing does work in this game, it's the interface and combat. And that's worth trying this game, if nothing else. Okay, so let's look at the graphics and sound, along with the general vibe of this game. So I'm not going to say much about these two things. The graphics are nothing to write home about. But this is not a bad thing in this game, trust me. What they do instead works. For me, replacing outstanding graphics and visuals with great gameplay is an easy choice. If you're someone who craves the latest high-tech graphics, this isn't for you. The music and sound, all I'm going to say is play with your headphones in. I loved it and it put me right in the game. Another thing they've got very right. The vibe of the game is very much reminiscent of the series. If you haven't watched the series, I'll suggest checking out an episode or two, or just jumping into this game. It really makes you feel like you're a character trapped in the game. It's a very immersive title, which is again really hard to do on a mobile release. Okay then, so to end, I want to talk about the overall experience and what makes this game stand out. To begin with, there is no auto features. This is a huge selling point for me. I personally hate autoplay games. We have Twitch to watch games being played and we don't need it on our mobiles and PCs. This game doesn't try too hard, which is a great aspect. The areas are smaller and limited. Although it's still open world, it works. Without trying to push boundaries, graphics and renovation, the game is able to deliver a solid experience. I picked up this game thinking within 20 minutes I'll be uninstalling it, but instead I've really enjoyed my experience so far. This is a really great mobile release. I suggest you try it. To kind of wrap everything up, my explanation of it is an MMORPG if it was released on PlayStation 1 or 2. So it's not got the complexities of modern day MMOs. It's quite simple, but really enjoyable and well executed. To make it easier to decide if you're still torn, I'm going to give you a quick rundown. So what's good? We've got the story. Like I've said, the story flows really nicely. You're introduced to characters and events and different buttons and skills at a very nice pace. And the way it's delivered completely distracts you from the fact that you're in an MMORPG grinding. The simplicity. As I've already stated, they've not tried too hard on things like graphics or stunning visuals. Instead, they made a really simple but great game. The world and atmosphere is fantastic. It's a really immersive experience. The controls and interface. So the controls and interface really work on this mobile release, and on a lot of others it doesn't work at all. There's not too many buttons, it's not too cluttered, there's just enough. The combat really works for me. It uses telegraph systems, your normal cooldowns, and different skills which you can use and utilize. It's very similar to the anime. So another great thing about this game is how similar it is to the anime. As a fan of Sword Art Online, it was really easy to get involved in this. What I would say is if you're not a fan, it's still a game that you can enjoy as a mobile MMO release. What's not so good? So the grinding aspects, It's hard to look past, and I'm really trying my best because of the settings that it's in and how it works with the game, but there's no getting past it. There is a lot of grinding in this game. The gear RNG on skills. So you save up your gems and you're going to spend quite a lot on skills. There's no guarantee you're going to get the skill for your weapon type, which means you could waste a lot of time trying to grind that stuff, and it might mean ultimately you need to spend money if you'd like to get the top tier skills. There's no evidence of that yet because I've not got that far in the game. I'd really like to think there's a way of getting around spending money. The upgrade system. So the upgrade system is quite tedious, and although it's a great concept, in reality it does mean you're going to be grinding a lot for materials to try and get that best gear. So this title is available on iOS and Android. It's completely free, so I'd wholeheartedly suggest giving it a go. It's definitely won my attention and won my heart. If there's anything you think I've missed out from this review, please leave it in the comments below and let me know what you think when you try the game. My name's Liam, you've been watching A Week of Geek. Until next time.